Good morning, everyone, and welcome to ACTRAC. This is Dr. Satish Monoli, librarian and officer in charge of ScopeCell, Advanced Center for Treatment, Research and Education in Cancer. A research wing of the Tata Memorial Center has been organizing Open Day since many years in the month of December. In the 2-day event, it used to invite various students of various colleges in Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, and around close to 500 students used to visit the center for 2 days to witness various experiments and a laboratory environment as a kind of experience for the students who are really keen in pursuing the research as a career. It is because of this COVID-19 pandemic, this year the event has been organized in the virtual mode. We also look at this situation as an opportunity, as we can have a more number of students and participants from all over India who can witness and experience the research facilities and academic programs of the center. In the next 1 hour or so, we are taking you on a tour of ACTRAC laboratories to witness the actual functioning of the research labs and high-end facility equipments in the research environment. Before you visit the labs and facilities, we have with us our Deputy Director CRI, Dr. Prasanna. She will brief you about the ACTRAC and overall activities of the Cancer Research Institute. Now may I request Dr. Prasanna to brief the students about ACTRAC and its activities. Thank you, and over to Dr. Prasanna.
Dear students, it's my immense pleasure to welcome you to the Open Day at ACTRAC. This time around, we are having this Open Day on a virtual platform. The main purpose of the day is to make young people like you aware that there is a research institute dedicated to cancer. Here, scientists and young research scholars, not much older than you, as well as doctors, are engaged in trying to understand what is cancer and what are the ways and means to cure it. What might excite you at this point of your life is that the knowledge that you gain from your formative years in various disciplines such as biology, physical sciences, engineering, and as remotely as mathematics can be useful in cancer research. It is really adventurous time in the field of biology now. And what I'm hoping is that some of you will become research scholars who will come and conduct research in our institute. Once again, it's my pleasure to invite you all. Enjoy the virtual tour and hope to see you sometime.
Thank you, Dr. Prasanna, for the very insightful information about the center and touching upon every aspect of ACTRAC and CRI activities in brief. Now may I request Dr. Abhijit De, Convener Academic Committee, to brief on the doctoral and various academic programs of the center.
Welcome to ACTRAC, and thank you for your continued interest in our institute. Myself, Dr. Abhijit De, I am a senior scientist here. The ACTRAC, it's a dedicated institute of cancer, focused in cancer, under the ambit of Department of Atomic Energy. Tata Memorial Center, which is located in Mumbai, is being an historical institute dedicated to cancer research and education for over 75 years. And since 2002, this new campus in the Navi Mumbai it was established to focus more on the research and education and training aspects. And today I will be introducing you to all the different programs that is ongoing here. So, as you know, the cancer is still being the one of the major human disease that causing the highest number of death in the world. For say, the ischemic heart disease. So same as cancer. So there are, and almost all human different organs in the human body system has cancers recorded so far. So it has been a major cause of death, and that's why it has been a continual effort that is ongoing all across the world to find answers to solve the disease mysteries and to find solutions to get rid of this disease. So there was a war against cancer that was declared sometimes in 2000. So since then, so this campus was established here in a 60-acre campus, and where both basic science, where investigators are working on different aspects of biology, revealing the causes, finding the reasons why certain cancer disease is happening in different parts of the body, or even find newer solutions, newer technological developments, and all these things are undergoing under the in our campus. So we are dedicated to cancer research, and as I was mentioning you that CRI, which is the Cancer Research Institute, which has a history of 75 years of dedicated research in the basic biology of cancer, finding reasons as well as finding solutions. And here actually we are running various academic programs, such as PhD being the major program in life science and health sciences. And in the life science category, we actually, the students who come all across India here, we have over 100-120 students strength. And these students from all over India has come here and focus on different aspects of cancer biology. And students who are passed out MSc in different fields, in different disciplines like bioinformatics, biotechnology, microbiology, biochemistry, and all aspects, biophysics, and also the MTech students, MPSc students, MPharm students, they also come and apply and contribute in cancer research in our institute. Now coming to this program that we are running is affiliated with HBNI, which is Homi Bhabha Research Institute, and this research in cancer involves a very high level of coordination among the neighboring institutes as well, where we are working together with Indian Institute of Technology in Mumbai, Bhabha Atomic Research Center in Mumbai, University of Chemical Technology, and many other institutes in Mumbai as well as in Pune and so on. So we do conduct research in various aspects of the genome biology, the epigenome biology, the differentiation, the cell biology, cell proliferation differentiations, invasion, metastasis, glycobiology, precision medicines and drug discovery, drug resistance. Even students who are interested in, a lot of students actually involved with the animal imaging and animal modeling, which is a very integrated part of cancer research. To join to our PhD program, the students across India who have qualified national level eligibility test like CSIR, UGC test, JGB test, they can apply here, as well as we also conduct a national eligibility test by ourselves, by advertising it in all national newspaper. And students who are more motivated for cancer research haven't qualified these the other national eligibility tests can appear on this exam, and if they qualify, they can come and do the PhD here. We have in the institute we have over 30-35 scientists who are involved intensely in different aspects of cancer research. Apart from that, we also have a clinical research wing where the clinician scientists are also involved in different aspects of cancer clinic related research. We have, apart from our PhD programs in health and life science, the institute also offered the education related to cancer, and so that the future generation can be ready and get actually interested in cancer research areas. So to motivate younger students, we also are running very successful program where students from bachelor's and master's degree from all across India come here, do smaller size projects, and sometimes it is in the form of their summer research that is only for a couple of months. They come and get exposed to different aspects, different technological aspects, different biological aspects, and sometimes it is in the form of a smaller projects dedicated to make their master's thesis or bachelor's thesis, where small size projects for 3 to 6 months they come and conduct here. Apart from all these, the education also involves, involves a lot of the interactions with national and international scientists, where we are conducting workshops, hands-on training workshops, national and international meetings, symposiums and conferences. To conclude, I thank you for your continued support and staying in touch with us and your interest in the research that is ongoing in ACTREC. I hope you enjoy the rest of the program today that is ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abhijit, for the brief introduction about the various training programs conducted at the center. Now we will take a tour of the center and have a quick look at the various laboratories and facilities. Thank you.
Welcome to the laboratory animal facility of ACTREC. I am Dr. Arvind Ingre. I am veterinarian and officer in charge for this facility. Being the mandate of cancer research, we breed and maintain particular animals which are a model for the cancer research, and they are bred under strict SOP GLP conditions. The animal facility is spread over 15,000 square feet. We are at present on the first floor where the animal rooms are there and the animals are bred, and they are maintained for the experimentation. All the animal experiments are conducted strictly as per the CPCSCA approved IAC protocols. We have the Institutional Animal Ethics Committee which approves the animals, and then we use the animals based on the approval. The animal rooms are controlled by the HVAC, what you call the heating and ventilation and air conditioning, and that's how you see the animal rooms are under controlled conditions for temperature, humidity, relative humidity as well as the pressure. As I said, we'll be showcasing some of the animal models. This is the rat breeding colony, and I will be showing you the Sprague-Downy strain of rat, wherein we have the newly born babies, and you can see the animals are maintained under IBC controlled conditions, and these animals are very well under specific pathogen conditions, wherein you can see the pair with their babies. They are newborn babies, and they are very much pink in color when they are born, and as the age advances they develop the hairs. This is a model for colon cancer, liver cancer as well as other biomedical research. Yeah, so I will be showcasing you another model which is very important, and it is a model for oral cancer. We have golden hamster strain which is used for the cancer research, and you can see these are the golden hamster and with babies, and they don't have the tails, but you can see how they are crawling and they are making the nest, and this is beautiful model for the oral cancer. As I said, this is a model for oral cancer. You can see they have the cheek pouches on either side of their mouth, and that can be taken use for painting tobacco related compounds and to see the carcinogenic potential of these compounds. As I said, for cancer research, without the nude and slit mice, the cancer research is incomplete because we use the human tumors. For that we need the immunocompromised mice, and I can show you one of the representative strain nude mice which is harboring the tumor, and you can see how the tumor is growing. This is the human tumor cells injected in these mice, and they grow in subcutaneous. We also produce the orthotopic injection based on the requirement, so they are directly put in the organs. So this is the human tumor. For normal tumors, we have some of the strains which are very much prone to tumor production, and we have such one such strain, C3H JAX mice, which is model for the memory tumor. These mice, they develop spontaneous tumors, and the reason is they have the murine tumors, and they develop the tumors in the old animals. So what we are going to show is the illustrated for the skin grafting. Shashi will show you the skin grafting on the computer.
Shashikant Ahire. I will show you how skin grafting is done. Skin grafting is done to check purity of the animal, to check isogenicity. Here we select animal of same strain, same sex, same age. So here two animals are selected, and then we anesthetize this animal with general anesthesia. And then we cut small small slice of skin here by using surgical blade. Here you see graft is taken by surgical blade. Graft is taken in such a way that it is not too superficial, it is not too deep, and we avoid bleeding. And then we transfer graft from one animal to another animal and vice versa. Here you see this graft is placed in such a way that here the direction is opposite. Here you see graft from one animal is put here and vice versa. And then we apply Helix spray. This is adherent spray, and it contains antiseptic solution. So we apply Helix spray, and then we put a small plastic tube to protect graft, and then we apply this, we secure it with tape. So this is protected, and after 48 hours we remove tape, and then we see whether graft is accepted or not. This picture you see after 100 days we take picture, and here graft is accepted, and here you see here direction is opposite. This is from another animal, this is from another mice, and here this is graft, accepted graft from rat.
My name is Aarti Shinde. Now I am loading this agarose gel. We have prepared 2% agarose gel. So this 2% agarose gel will give band resolution from 50 base pair to 2000 kilo base pair size. So now I have taken a 8 microliter of PCR product which contains amplified DNA product. Okay, now I am loading this gel in each well.
My name is Dr. Shama Pansare. I am a postdoctoral fellow in Chilkapati lab. And here in Chilkapati lab, we are working on cancer and Raman spectroscopy and its applications. This Raman spectroscopy is named after its inventor, Dr. C.V. Raman, and he invented this in 1928 and was awarded the Nobel Prize for the discovery in 1930. So let's understand what is Raman spectroscopy. So we'll look at the principle of Raman spectroscopy. So as you can see here, when an incident light interacts with the molecule undergoes vibrations. So these molecular vibrations then cause scattering, and these scatterings are mainly of two types. One is Rayleigh scattering, which is called as the elastically scattered light. or the other one is the Raman scattering, which is the inelastically scattered light. In Rayleigh scattering, there is no change in energy. The incident photon and the scattered photon have the same energy. While in Raman scattering, there is a slight shift in this energy. It is either at the lower end, which is called as Stokes scattering, or at the higher end, which is called as the anti-Stokes scattering.
So this is the setup for in vivo Raman spectroscopy, wherein we use a fiber optic probe. So what is this probe is, it incidents laser on the sample as well as collects the scattered Raman signal and then passes it on to a spectrograph. The spectrograph has a grating inside it which is having grooves which disperses the scattered light into individual wavelengths, which is passed on to a CCD detector. The CCD detector then converts the Raman signal in the form of a spectrograph which is displayed on the screen. The in vivo setup of Raman spectroscopy has been modified a bit, wherein the fiber optic probe is replaced by this confocal microscope, and what we get is a micro Raman spectroscopy setup, which includes a microscope, a laser source which is a 532 nanometer laser, that is a green laser, followed by a grating that we are using, followed by a CCD detector. Now what we do here is we place our sample, that is serum, saliva or exfoliated cell sample, onto this calcium fluoride window, which is placed here and then focused using a respective objective. Then a laser falls onto the sample and the scattered light is again collected by the same microscope. This scattered light is then passed on to the grating. The grating disperses the light and passes the individual wavelengths to a CCD detector. The CCD detector then gives a Raman spectra, which you see as follows. Now here what I am showing you is the map of a leukemic cell. So here what we do is we record thousands of point spectra which are then compiled to get a Raman map.
Welcome to Prasanna Lab. I am Mahalakshmi Harish and I will be taking a tour of this lab. So our lab tries to understand protein-protein interactions at different hierarchical levels, and the long-term goal of our lab is to explore the Achilles heel in cancer, and we work on a lot of proteasomal chaperones such as PSMD9, PSMD10 and 1433 and other proteins, and we use a combination of biophysical, biochemical and cell-based studies to understand the mechanism of regulation by these hub proteins.
Hello, I am Merlin Anthony. I'll be demonstrating loading an agarose gel. Agarose gel is used to separate DNA samples. So I'll be showing Okay, here the DNA sample is mixed with the loading dye. This is a 1% agarose gel. Okay, so we run the gel typically at 100 volts for 1.5 hours.
And what I am performing here is protein purification by affinity chromatography. So we have already purified protein from this. We pass the protein through this column and we get purified protein fractions. To check if the protein, how much quantity of protein is there, we check it by something which is called as Bradford's estimation. So I am going to show you how it appears. So I am putting protein sample in this, which we have purified by affinity chromatography. This is called as Bradford's reagent. When you add Bradford's reagent to protein, it reacts with the protein to give a bright blue color. So this is how it will look.
Hello, I am Priyanka. So once we purify the protein, to confirm the protein, we run the sample on the polyacrylamide acrylamide gel electrophoresis. So after running the sample, the protein get resolved on the gel, and then to visualize the protein, we stain the gel. But there are two ways. One we can do silver staining and second is Kumasi staining. So here you can see this is the ladder by which we compare our purified protein, and the protein gets separated depending on their size and shape. So here, depending on the molecular weight of ladder, we confirm our purified protein.
So mass spectrometry and proteomics facility at RAT. I'll give you some introduction about mass spectrometry. Myself Shashi Dolas, working as a scientific officer in this facility, and I'll give you a basic introduction about mass spec. Actually, mass spec has different components like sample injection, then source, analyzer and detector, and then data system. We have the facility where we have these two instruments, and this one is a Mardi Toftov Ultraflex 2 German based company, and NanoLC QTOF is a SciEx USA company. So we have these two mass spec, and my colleague Savita will further demonstrate you these two instruments. Thank you.
Welcome one and all to our mass spectrometry facility. I am Savita. I work here as a scientific assistant, and I would be telling you in brief about the two mass spectrometers that we have. One is our Mardi Toftov and the other is the NLC ESI QTOF. I would be giving you a brief overview about how the samples are being analyzed on the machine. So the main thing that people doing mass spectrometry analysis is they should be very careful to avoid contamination. So for that you need to wear such powder-free nitrile gloves, and you have to use unautoclaved plasticware, be it tips or ependoff, or everything should be unautoclaved, because if you autoclave them, there are chances that the polymers from the plastic might leach out and they contaminate your samples. So we have a Mardi plate. I would like to show you the Mardi plate, which is a ground stainless steel plate. It is a 384 well plate, A to P and 1 to 24 wells. So we can load 384 samples at a time. Apart from that, I will also like to show you the matrices and the standards. This is the standard. Generally, this is company procured. It is in the solidified form, powder form. We dissolve it in 0.1% TFA, that is trifluoroacetic acid, and 50% acetonitrile. And these are the standards which are again available commercially from the company, which is in the powder form. This is again dissolved in 0.1% trifluoroacetic acid and 50% AC. Now, equal volumes of the sample, that is the protein which is extracted, reduction, alkylation and digestion is done. The equal volume of that digested protein sample and the matrix solution that we prepare is loaded onto this Mardi plate. Once it is dried, it is put inside the machine. The sample is placed inside, and this is the TOF tube. So there is a laser inside which falls onto the sample, like you can see here in the schematic. There is a Mardi plate and the laser falls onto the sample. The sample gets ionized and it moves inside the TOF tube. Inside the TOF tube, it moves either in the linear path or in the reflected path and gets detected at the detector. So this is all about how the Mardi functions. We can do the basic identification experiments, the identification of protein by peptide mass fingerprinting. Also, we can do the whole molecular weight detection of the entire intact protein using this instrument. Okay, so let us now talk about the other instrument that we have here. This is the NanoLC ESI QTOF. This is the nano LC part. This is the auto sampler and the LC with the reservoir chamber. This LC is directly online connected to the mass spectrometer, you can see, and on the monitor here you can see the electrospray. The sample gets sprayed inside the mass spec. The sample is coming in the liquid form from the chromatography, LC from the liquid chromatography, and it gets sprayed directly into the mass spec in the liquid form. There is a quadrupole, that is the Q0, Q1 and the Q2, and the TOF tube, through which the sample which is getting sprayed, it moves. In the Q0, the sample gets, the Q0 helps in, it guides the ions to the Q1 where the ions get separated. In Q2, it acts as the collision cell, brings about the fragmentation of the ions, and in the TOF tube, they get separated and get and go to the detector and get detected. So this is how the ESI functions. But because it is a online system connected with the LC, it can handle complex samples. You can take the entire cell lysate. The entire cell lysate is subjected to reduction, alkylation, digestion,
and then it is directly allowed to pass through the LC, that is the liquid chromatography, where the separation takes place and the sample gets sprayed into the mask. And by the various parameters that we set for carrying out various applications, we give certain parameters to the quadrupoles. The separation and the fragmentation takes place, and the detection takes place in the through the after separation from the top tube through the detector.
Now we have already gathered the data on the instrument. The same data we'll do the data analysis on the computers. These are the data stations of our facility, where you can see the spectra. I have opened it. You can see the spectra and the peak list. Now this peak list we give for the analysis. It's a BioTool is a software where you can set the parameters and then you can do the analysis. These are the parameter setting, where if you have used a trypsin, just mention it and then go for start search. The result come out like this, that this particular protein, see Bos Taurus bovine serum albumin with a score 86 is present. So in this way it will give the identification of protein. And further,
so this is how the data coming from the NLCSI QTOF looks like. It is a plot where you can see this is the time axis versus the intensity axis. You can see two color coded spectra. One is the blue spectra, which contains the information coming from the MS, and the pink spectra, which contains information coming from the MSMS, that is the fragmentation. This data you subject it to further database analysis, database search, wherein you have a template here wherein you specify the search parameters, whatever you have to set in for searching your protein IDs. You have to specify the database from which you are interested in searching, and you have to carry out the search. The result comes out finally in this format. It's a .group file and it appears in this way, wherein you get the protein IDs, the accession number, the scores and the peptide information.
Welcome to TANI Lab. I am Mr. Sagar Pawar, staff in the TANI Lab. We have staff and various students in the lab. Our lab basically is focused on understanding the role of oral and cervical carcinogenesis. So we are basically looking into the molecular mechanisms of oral and cervical cancer.
Hello all, myself Swapnilok, and I am a 5th year PhD student at TANI Lab. So now Sagar sir must have briefed you kind of projects currently going on in the lab. So you must have understood that we mainly works on proteins. Because proteins are master regulator of any process, and in disease condition altered expressions of protein takes place. Since now in ACTREC, since we work on cancer, I'll explain next further things in terms of cancer. So when normal cells get converted to cancerous cells, altered expression or change of expression of protein takes place. So how we detect this altered expression of protein? So in lab we use different techniques like immunofluorescence, immunohistochemistry and Western blot. So today we will demonstrate specifically Western blot.
Hi, I am Rishma Reddy. I am 4th year PhD student in TANI Lab. Now I am going to explain you the first and the second part of Western blot technique. First is the sample preparation and second is the gel electrophoresis. So to begin with, first we have to prepare the protein lysate, in which we have to extract the protein from the cell or the tissue. So we collect the sample in an Eppendorf tube, to which we add the lysis buffer and the protease inhibitor. This protease inhibitor prevents the degradation of the protein by the other proteases, and this has to be incubated on ice for about 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we have to centrifuge and separate out the supernatant, which contains the protein. So this is how the lysate looks. Now after protein extraction, this protein has to be quantified to load the equal amount of the protein onto the gel. So for quantification there are various methods, but in our TANI lab we use Bradford method and where the differential color intensity is directly proportional to the concentration of the protein present into that lysate. So after quantification, now we have to prepare the gel. So there are two types of gel, that is the stacking and the lower gel. The upper part of the gel is the stacking gel, which is slightly acidic, and the pore size of this gel is larger, and the lower part of the gel is the resolving gel, which is basic gel, where the pore size is smaller, because of which the protein when separates out, it separates on the basis of the molecular weight. So this is the gel preparation. Now after the gel preparation is done, we prepare the protein lysate to be loaded onto the gel. Now for sample preparation, the quantified protein, now to which we add the loading dye. Now this loading dye contains glycerol, which helps to sink the sample easily into the gel, well of the gel, and also this bromophenol blue, which tracks the progression of separation of the protein on the gel. After mixing, it looks like this. Then we have to heat this at 100 degrees Celsius to resolve the higher degree structures of the protein. Now we will see how this protein lysate is loaded onto the gel.
Hello everyone, I am Abhay Uthare and I am a 6th year PhD student. Here I will show you the how the protein sample is loaded onto the gel. So we will first load the protein ladder, which will mark the different molecular weight proteins. So we can see the wells. We will load the sample into the gel. We will load the different samples. So we have loaded the protein ladder. Now we will load the protein samples. Now the protein samples and the protein ladder is loaded into the wells. We will start the apparatus. We will set the constant current of around 25 milliamperes. So we will set here around 25 milliamperes and the voltage to be at the highest. So we will set it at around 20 to 25 milliamps and we will start the run. Now that we have separated the proteins into the gel, now we want to transfer the proteins from gel to the membrane. So we have here a electroblotting apparatus, and here is the cassette onto which we will add the gel and the membrane. Now there are different types of membrane which we use for the Western blotting experiment. So here we are using the PVDF membrane, which has a better affinity for the proteins and it's good for the detecting different types of protein. Now Swapnil will demonstrate how is the procedure went on. So first the gel is placed onto the first the stacking part of the gel is removed, and a slight cut on the one of the margin will be made to identify the orientation of the gel. This gel will be placed on a stack of filter membrane and a sponge on one side. The gel has to be lifted very carefully, where we don't want to disturb the gel. Now carefully the gel is placed onto the stack of filter membrane, and on which the PVDF membrane is placed. Any bubbles left between the gel and the membrane are squeezed out with the help of a roller, which we here use, so that there will be no bubbles in between the gel and the membrane. Then we will stack another filter paper stack onto the membrane and the sponge, and we will tightly fit the cassette so that it will be tightly assembled and there will be no spacing between the gel and the membrane. We will place it carefully into the electroblotting apparatus, wherein the gel will be towards the cathode and membrane will be towards the anode. And we will add the transfer buffer, which will allow with the similar principle to the electrophoresis, the proteins from the gel are transferred onto the membrane. Now we will start. We'll adjust the voltage according to the how the which type of proteins we want to transfer. So here in our lab we have standardized it to the 16 to 17 volts of voltage, and we will set it for around 18 hours so that the proteins will be transferred efficiently onto the membrane. Now, okay, so after the 18 hours of the electroblotting, we will remove the membrane from the electroblotting apparatus and we will stain it to check whether the protein has been transferred efficiently or not. So we will stain it with the fast grain, as here we can see. Now that we have transferred the proteins onto the membrane and we have visualized whether the protein transfer is efficient or not. Now we want to probe it for the a specific target protein. To identify the proteins from all of these proteins, we need to probe it with the primary and the secondary antibody. The primary antibody is specific to a particular protein, like in here case protein X. So we have a primary antibody which will bind directly onto this protein. Now we will add the secondary antibody which will bind onto the primary antibody's constant region, and when the secondary antibody is labeled antibody, which will emit the signal upon addition of the substrate. This demonstration will be done by the Reshma in the chemiluminescence facility.
Now Abhay has explained how we could probe the membrane with the antibody. After probing with the antibody, we have to wash those membranes in such jars in TBST buffer to remove the unbound antibodies. After washing, we have to blot this membrane. So we do this method in this machine which is called as Chemidoc. This whole procedure is carried out in dark. So how it is done, I'll show you. Now these are the blots. We label them the protein which we have to target, and these are the ladder which tell us the molecular weight of that particular protein. We have to place this in this tray.
थोड़ा धीरे करना.
Now on this we add the ECH. So these are the two mixtures of the ECH. We have to mix them in 1:1 proportion. We have to add them onto this blot and take an exposure. So the blot appears over this, and then we have to take the exposure. So this is how the blot finally looks.
Hope you all enjoyed the virtual tour of ACTRAC. I am sure the visit of various laboratories and demonstrations of the equipment and small experiments have excited and enlightened you towards the cancer research, and we hope definitely you will think on taking research as your career in the coming years. Thank you one and all. See you next year. Stay safe and stay healthy. Have a great day.
Hello all. You will appreciate and agree, due to the current challenging crisis of COVID-19, we have no option but to meet you all on the virtual platform to celebrate this year's Open Day. I am sure you all will have today's long-lasting great memories. I can assure you, next year we will have to welcome you all to attend this program, to take the golden opportunity to visit our various labs, departments and facilities and see their activities and work in person. We thank you all from bottom of the heart for sparing your precious time and join us to celebrate this Open Day of our institute. Please share your valuable feedbacks with us. Till then, take care and stay safe.